What did some of Georgia's biggest targets have to say after their weekend G-Day visit? That's what I'm going to talk about in today's video because, of course, recruiting still matters. And they had some absolute ballers in town to watch them conclude spring practice with their annual G-Day. So I'm going to talk about all of that. We've got a lot of insider notes, big time recruiting scoop over on dawgpost.com. Make sure you're going over to the website to read about all of it because, again, if you don't follow recruiting, you still should. It still matters. And they had some of the best prospects in the country in town over the weekend. It was a giant recruiting weekend. So let's get into it right now. I'm making this on Sunday, so there's still plenty of targets in town. I don't have quotes from everyone, but I'm going to get into some quotes. They had a big time commitment. I got quotes from him. So I've got a lot of notes, but I do want to talk about some of the biggest targets who are in town. And in my opinion, the biggest one was five-star tight end Mark Bowman. Listen, I'm not comparing anyone to Brock Bowers because I don't think we might ever see another Brock Bowers come through Athens, Georgia, or even across college football. He was the best to ever do it at the collegiate level. The guy is special, but Mark Bowman at a modern day high school in California could be possibly close to Brock Bowers. He is that good. I think he's an absolute superstar. Georgia, Texas, USC, all in the mix. He's the number 2 tight end prospect in the country, number 20 overall. Okay, this is a top 20 prospect in the country who just reclassified. He was in the 27 class. He moved up to the 26 class, and he's still a top 20 player in the country. Caught 32 passes for 435 yards and 8 touchdowns. Not jaw-dropping numbers, but he played for modern day. They, spread out the football. It's not one guy doing everything. The kid can absolutely play. He's terrific after the catch. He runs really well for 6'4", 220 pounds. The ball skills, the natural athleticism. You turn on the tape, and it feels like you're looking Brock Bowers. You're watching Brock Bowers from high school. He is that good. He is a special prospect, a major Georgia target, and he was in town this weekend, as was Caden Prothro, another massive tight end prospect. He's the number 3 tight end prospect in the country. A little bigger than Mark Bowman. I don't think he's as fast or as athletic. He's 6'6", 215. He caught 57 passes last year, 1,203 yards and 22 touchdowns in just 15 games. He's had a bout in high school, so he's an in-state tight end / wide receiver because the guy can just match up. He's a matchup nightmare. He can play on the perimeter. He can play as a traditional tight end. He's one of the more productive players across the state of Georgia. He is dynamic. He is elite. There's a lot of, in my opinion, elite tight ends in the 2026 class, and Todd Hartley is after the best of the best. So Mark Bowman, 5-star from California, was in town. Caden Prothro, a high 4-star. I mean, he's the number 30 prospect in the country. So he's a borderline 5-star. He was in town too. Jeray Edwards, a 4-star safety from Maryland. He was in town for an official visit. He's the number 2 safety prospect in the country, top 50. He's a big deal. Wide receiver commit Vance Spafford from California was in town. That's a big deal. He's one of the fastest prospects in the country. They're trying to hold on to his commitment, so it was a big deal to get him in town. Brady Marchese out of Cartersville is a 3-star wide receiver on the commit list. He was back in town, so a lot of visitors. But I do want to talk about Georgia's newest commitment that they got over the weekend, 3-star safety Keelan Jones out of Sprayberry. I asked him how his visit went, why he committed to Georgia. Here's what he said. He said, quote, "Georgia gave me a home field that I couldn't get anywhere else when it came to the players and the coaching staff. They're a winning program that believes in bringing me in to compete for my time on the field. The overall connection I have with Coach T-Rob and Coach Smart is definitely a big reason for my commitment. The amount of experience they have is almost second to none. Coach Smart has built and maintained a winning program for years. I also have like having a defensive-minded head coach that played my position as well." So he's a 3-star safety on the rise out of Cobb County in Marietta, who jumped on the commit list today. So he's one of several defensive backs already on the commit list. Zachariah Fort is another one. He was back in town. He is a senior captain, for IMG Academy. He's been on the commit list for a few months now. Asked him how his visit was, and he kept it pretty brief, but still somewhat eye-opening. He said, quote, "My biggest takeaway from watching G-Day was seeing the intensity and the competition for both sides of the ball. What makes Coach Smart the best football coach in the country is his approach to the game and the standard that he holds his program to. My message to the other recruits was all dogs go to Georgia. So I thought that was pretty cool. Seems to be the theme right now. That's what these current commitments are telling everyone else. Hey, all dogs go to Georgia, and those two can absolutely play. They're both versatile. I think they could play both the safety position and the star position. They're hard hitters. They are physical, and that's what I'm seeing as it relates to the type of player that Georgia's bringing in the secondary. They took several in the 25 class. They're trying to get after it again in 26. They want toughness. They want physicality, especially from the safety position. And Keelan Jones is one of the hardest hitters in the area. Zachariah Ford brings a physical presence as well. So they need intimidating defensive backs back there. They've got some speedy ball hawks right on the roster right now, like KJ Bolden, who can hit as well, but they're looking for guys who can really affect the run game and deliver a sound, solid hit. And two guys they have on the commit list, Keelan Jones, Zachariah Fort, bring that aspect to their game. Tamarian Watkins is a defensive back target from Northwestern. It was funny, I saw him on the sidelines and was trying to take a picture of him just for the website, and he looked at it over and over again, wanted me to redo it over and over. He wanted to make sure he looked good in the picture. But he's a long, athletic kid and looks the part in person. I mean, he's got some height to him. He's got some length, real lean, but it's easy to see why he's on Georgia's radar. I asked him about his visit. He said, my biggest takeaway was that Georgia could be a place that would push me and take me to a higher level as a man and as a player. Coach Smart's trust in his staff to bring in the best guys, and the expectations and standard that you were held to at Georgia is what I think makes him one of the very best. So he is a kid from South Florida, Northwestern High School, big time program down there in the Sunshine State, who is high on Georgia. He can play both sides of the ball, but I do think his length, athleticism, ball skills could help him, possibly play some cornerback, but I think he's probably a safety as well. One of the best running backs in the country in the 2027 class, Garrison Hurst's nephew, I believe. He's right outside of Athens and Prince Avenue Christian in Bogart, Georgia. Jerry Andrew Beard II. He's another guy who could probably play in the secondary at the next level, but he's a big-time running back. One of my top 10 prospects in the state of Georgia for that 2027 class. This kid is big time. He's already been incredibly productive through his first 2 years at the high school level. I forgot where he was as a freshman, but last year played at Prince Avenue. Anyway, here's what he had to say. He made the quick, easy trip over to Athens. He said, quote, my biggest takeaway was the attention to detail. They took a lot of time or spent a lot of time with me before and after G-Day. My second biggest takeaway was the fan base. Coach Smart said there was almost 40,000 people at that game. He said for a scrimmage, that is almost unheard of. What makes Coach Smart so good is how he's able to relate to his players so he can get the best out of everyone. He went through the process, so he's able to understand the work that it takes to be great. And I'll say this about the crowd. It was pretty decent. I mean, I think a lot of it was that it was not on TV, unfortunately. And if you're looking for more insider notes and everything we saw from G-Day, of course, I was in the press box. Dean was down on the sidelines. So we're not some just average bros talking about Georgia football. We covered the team, so we are there, and we do get an inside look on how things went. So you can read more about that and a lot of other insider scoop over on the website. We want to get y'all over to the website. That's where the real scoop is, the real details that we cannot say on YouTube. They're over there on the website, so make sure you are checking that out because the content is still coming. Recruiting still matters, and I will say that the crowd was pretty solid. Probably a little better than I expected, especially for it being, Master Saturday, right? That's moving day. And if I didn't have to work, I'd be watching the Masters all day. So I do thought it was a pretty good turnout. It was a beautiful day. And, the crowd was really into it. There were a lot of big throws down the field by the quarterbacks, a lot of plays defensively. So there was a lot to cheer about. And I thought the crowd was pretty solid, too, for a spring game. But yeah, Jerry Andrew Beard. I think it's Andrew Beard, but in the system we've got Jerry Andrew Beard. Doesn't matter. He's going to be one of the best running backs in the state. Definitely one of the more productive running backs in the state this next season as a junior. He's held a Bulldog offer for a while, and he had a lot to say about that. So just some quotes from some of the bigger targets, and still hoping to hear back from guys like Mark Bowman, Caden Prothro, and of course when we do. Those quotes and those notes will be over on Dawg Post, but getting Mark Bowman back in town is a big deal. That guy is going to be a superstar and a guy who makes an impact day one as a freshman, wherever he ends up. Georgia wants him badly, and it was a big deal to get him on campus. Caden Protho is another guy, again, who is in town. Those are probably the two biggest. And then Jere Edwards, top 2 safety in the country, was in town for an official visit. They had others too. For that scoop, I wanted to get y'all over to the website. So yeah, just a recruiting update for y'all because it still matters. Really appreciate y'all watching this video. Hope you learned something, and I'll see you over on the website.